Welcome to MindSwitch Books. Today, we're jumping into a book that might just be the most important one you check out all year, especially if you've ever felt, stuck. It's called Tiny Habits by Stanford behavior scientist Dr. BJ Fogg. Now here's the big promise. What if I told you that every single diet you failed, every gym membership you've forgotten about, and every New Year's resolution you've ever given up on was not your fault? In this explainer, we're going to tear down the myths you've been sold about change. We'll reveal a super simple formula for all human behavior, and we'll uncover the one secret ingredient for making new habits actually stick for good. So stick around, because that last piece of the puzzle is going to flip everything you thought you knew about how habits really work.
Okay, let's get real for a second. Have you ever had that moment, you declare, this is it. This is the year I'm going to exercise every single day, or I'm finally going to learn that new language, only to have all that fire just kind of fizzle out a few weeks later, and you're left with that awful feeling of defeat, a little bit of guilt, and that nagging voice asking, what is wrong with me? If you're nodding along right now, you're not just not alone, you're basically everyone. And the central message of this book, the part that's so freeing, is that you've been playing a game you were set up to lose because you were handed the wrong rulebook from the start.
And this quote right here, this is the core of everything we're talking about today. For years, we've been fed this idea from hustle culture that change has to be this huge, painful effort of willpower. Just do it. Push through the pain. But then, when we stumble, what do? We blame ourselves for not being disciplined enough. BJ Fogg is basically telling us to just stop. That whole way of thinking is fundamentally broken. The failure isn't some flaw in your character. It's a major design flaw in the method everyone's been told to use.
All right, so let's dive into this first big idea. We're about to completely dismantle this old, broken way of thinking about change, the one that's all built on self-blame and this myth of willpower. It's time to officially let yourself off the hook.
Fogg has this perfect analogy in the book. Imagine you're trying to build some IKEA furniture, but the instructions are a total mess, and half the screws are missing. You'd struggle, you'd get super frustrated, and you'd probably just give up. But you wouldn't say, man, I'm just terrible at building things. No way. You'd blame the company for making a terrible product. And yet, when it comes to our own habits, we almost always blame ourselves. We just think, I need to try harder. And that just creates this awful downward spiral where we fail, we feel bad about ourselves, and that makes it even harder to even try again. The real problem isn't you. It's the bad instructions for change we've all been using.
So if it's not our fault, then what's the biggest problem with the old way? What's the number one killer of our best intentions? Well, it all comes down to our complete obsession with relying on one single thing, motivation, which, as it turns out, is the most unreliable partner you could ever have.
Think about it, right? On January 1st, you've just watched some inspiring movie, and your motivation to change your entire life is through the roof. You're riding this massive, awesome wave of enthusiasm. But what happens on a rainy Tuesday in March? You're tired from work, you're stressed out, and your favorite show just dropped a new episode. Where's that giant wave now? It's gone, crashed on the shore, and disappeared. Fogg calls this the motivation wave, and trying to build lasting change on top of it is like trying to build a sandcastle and expecting it to last forever. It's just destined to fall apart.
And this right here is the trap we all fall into. Fogg calls it the new juicer effect. You know the one. We buy that expensive juicer totally convinced I'm going to use this every single day. Because right there, in that moment, our motivation is at a 10 out of 10. We completely forget to ask how our tired future self is going to feel about cleaning it. See, motivation is a fair weather friend. It gets totally wrecked by our emotions, by stress, by our environment. So here's the bottom line. If motivation is the main engine for your new habit, you are literally building a system that's designed to fail right from the very start.
Okay, enough about the problem. Let's get to the good stuff. Let's pivot to the incredibly simple solution Fogg discovered after researching thousands of people at his lab at Stanford. And this isn't just some nice idea, it's a universal formula that explains literally every single thing we do, from grabbing your phone to check a notification to running a marathon.
This is it. This is the master key to everything. B equals MAP. It looks so simple, right? But its power is absolutely profound. A behavior will only happen when three things come together at the exact same time: motivation, ability, and a prompt. Your desire to do it, how easy it is to do, and the trigger telling you to do it now. If even one of those three things is missing, the behavior will not happen. Period. It's not about willpower anymore. It's just a simple equation.
So let's break that down real quick. Motivation is your desire. Ability is how easy it is to do. And the prompt is the trigger. Think about a food delivery app. The prompt is the notification that buzzes in your pocket. Your motivation might be, kind of medium, you're a little hungry. But the app's genius is that they make the ability incredibly high. You tap 2 buttons and food magically shows up. B, M, A, N, P all line up and boom, the behavior happens. If you had to fill out a long, annoying form to order, your ability would be low and the behavior just wouldn't happen.
And right here, this is the life-changing insight that unlocks the whole thing. If we look at B equals MAP, and we know that motivation, the M, is totally unreliable, what's the one thing we have almost complete control over? It's ability, the A. The secret to building habits that actually stick isn't about getting more motivated, it's about making the behavior so easy, so simple, so incredibly tiny that you can still do it on your absolute worst day, when you have zero motivation.
This is where the magic happens. Look at this shift in thinking. Our old brain goes, I need to run 5 miles every day. Fogg's model says, nope, make it ridiculously easy. The goal isn't the 5-mile run, it's mastering the habit of just starting. So the tiny habit becomes just putting on your running shoes. That's it. Anyone can do that. Instead of meditating for 20 minutes, you just take one single mindful breath. And the classic? Forget flossing all your teeth, just floss one tooth. The point isn't the big, scary action, it's to make the starting part so simple that it feels harder to say no than to just do it.
Hey, just a quick pause here. If this is all starting to click and you're having one of those aha moments, would you do me a quick favor and hit that like button? It honestly helps more people find this stuff. And if you can think of even one person who's ever felt guilty about a failed habit, share this with them. I promise it might be the most freeing thing they hear all week. All right, let's get back to it.
So we've got the theory, right? B equals map. And we know the secret is to make things tiny. But how do we actually build this into our crazy busy lives? Well, for that, Fogg gives us a super simple 3-step recipe.
This is the exact blueprint for every single tiny habit. First, you find an anchor. That's a rock-solid routine you already do without even thinking, like making your morning coffee or brushing your teeth. Second, you tack on your new tiny behavior right after that anchor. Not later, but immediately after. And third, and this is the part that everyone skips, but it's the absolute most important, you celebrate instantly. You have to generate a positive feeling right away.
And look how beautifully this works. The recipe is just after I do my existing habit, I will do my new tiny habit. So after I pour my morning coffee, I will do 2 push-ups. The coffee maker is your trigger. After I brush my teeth, I will floss 1 tooth. You're already there, you're already in the bathroom. See? You're not depending on a phone reminder or your own terrible memory. You are literally weaving a new thread into the existing fabric of your day. It's such an elegant design because it just latches onto brain pathways that are already super strong.
Okay, so we have our anchor, we have our tiny behavior, but now we've arrived at the final piece of the puzzle. This is the secret ingredient I promised you way back at the beginning. This is the truly mind-blowing insight of this book, the thing that separates tiny habits from everything else you've ever tried. It has nothing to do with repetition. It's all about emotion.
Just let that sink in for a second. This flies in the face of everything we've ever been told. We've all heard it takes 21 days, or 66 days, or some other magic number to form a habit. Fogg's research shows that's just a myth. What actually rewires our brain, what makes a behavior automatic, is the feeling we have when we do it. It's the emotion that creates the habit, not repetition. Emotions. And this is exactly why that 3rd step, the celebration, is so crucial. When you do your 2 push-ups and then immediately give yourself a little fist pump or say yes, or even just think to yourself, nice job, you are creating a genuine feeling of success. And that feeling releases a little bit of dopamine in your brain. And that dopamine hit basically tells your brain, hey, that thing we just did, that was awesome. Let's remember to do that again. You are literally hacking your own brain chemistry to build habits faster and stronger.
Think about a baby's first steps. It's the perfect example. The baby takes one wobbly step, and what happens? The whole room explodes. Parents are cheering, clapping, hugging the baby. That massive wave of positive emotion wires that behavior in almost instantly. The baby wants to do it again to get that amazing feeling. With a strong enough positive emotion, a habit can start forming from a single repetition. It's not about grinding for 30 days, it's about feeling good, right now.
So here's the big takeaway. For way too long, we have tried to change ourselves by feeling bad, using guilt and shame as motivators. The Tiny Habits way is the exact opposite. You change best by feeling good. By designing these tiny wins that you can genuinely celebrate, you create this positive feedback loop that your brain actually wants more of. You finally stop fighting against yourself and start creating this amazing upward spiral of positive change, one tiny success at a time.
Now, what we've gone over here today is the powerful core of this whole system, but the book itself, Tiny Habits, is the complete owner's manual for your brain. It's not just theory, it is a practical toolkit that is loaded with hundreds of real-world examples and habit recipes for every part of your life. From your health and work to your relationships, it's got guides for when you get stuck and even strategies for getting rid of bad habits. It is truly the ultimate resource for mastering the skill of change.
So, are you ready to finally break that cycle of trying and failing and blaming yourself? Are you ready to start feeling successful every single day? Then I honestly cannot recommend this book enough. It is a genuine game changer. Just click that link in the description below to grab your own copy of Tiny Habits right now. Thank you so much for watching, and make sure you subscribe to MindSwitch Books for more deep dives into ideas that can change your life.
So I'll leave you with this final thought so you can put this to work immediately. What is one tiny, microscopic thing you can do right now and then celebrate? Seriously, maybe it's just taking one deep breath or putting one coffee cup in the dishwasher. Just do it, give yourself that little fist pump, feel that tiny spark of success, and know that you've just taken the first real step on a brand new path. Thanks again for being here, and I'll see you in the next breakdown.